Father Alphonse Frederick was the son of immigrants who owned a successful book and stationery company in Baltimore. As he grew up, he was not in the best of health, and when he entered the priesthood, the diocese decided it was best for him to serve in a rural setting, and it was then he came to Harford County. At the age of 28, he became the second pastor of St. Mary's of Assumption in what is now Piusville, close to the Pennsylvania line. Over the next few years, he moved from one church to another, helping parishes become established and grow. Being a country priest at the turn of the century was no easy task. He often found himself traveling at all hours of the day and night to serve the needs of his congregation in the days before motor vehicles. These stresses and his delicate health were wearing him down. At the same time, church leadership had a desire to establish a parish in the town of Bel Air. In the late 1890s, Father Frederick's parents passed away, leaving him and his siblings with what was a significant amount of money for the time. He took a portion of his inheritance and purchased 3 acres of land for $3,500. That included a house, barn, and several other buildings on what is now Hickory Avenue in Bel Air. He was now able to set in motion the establishment of a parish in Bel Air and his ultimate dream of establishing a parish school. By 1905, he had a plan in place and was building a chapel at his own expense on the property he had purchased. The new church, the new St. Margaret Church, was considered a mission of St. Ignatius Parish, which was a few miles away. But a big step toward becoming its own parish came in 1907, when Father Frederick moved from the rectory at St. Ignatius to the farmhouse that was on his property in Bel Air, next to the chapel. 2 wagons brought nearly 1,500 books to his new home, clearly showing his love for education. Not too long after that, his sisters and nephew joined him in the house to help serve the parish. It was in that year that St. Margaret Parish was recognized as a separate parish from St. Ignatius. Meanwhile, Octavius Norris, a wealthy older lawyer who mainly lived in New York City, but who had familial and other significant ties to Harford County, decided with his brother to buy a stately home at the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and Dolman Place, the current location of the municipal garage. As recent converts to Catholicism, Mr. Norris and his brother were familiar with Father Frederick. When Mr. Norris's brother died unexpectedly, he no longer wanted the home in Bel Air. He decided to let Father Frederick use his home on the condition that it was used as a school and convent. On January 22, 1911, Father Frederick received permission from the church leadership to go forward with the formation of a school, and things were quickly set in motion. Parishioners converted the first floor of the Norris house into 2 classrooms and a chapel, and the second floor was transformed into a convent. All the children of the parish were expected to attend the school, free of charge, and non-parishioners paid $3 a quarter. The School Sisters of Notre, an order of teaching sisters from Bavaria who had immigrated to Baltimore and set up other schools, were asked to provide instruction for the new school in Bel Air. And on April 17, 1911, 3 members of the SSNDs joined the St. Margaret community and went on to establish the faculty for the school. Just a few weeks later, on May 1st, St. Margaret's School officially opened with 43 students in grades 1 to 6. The following year, the school expanded to 55 students in 7 grades and a high school commercial course. Some children walked to school from neighborhood homes, some arrived via the nearby railroad station, and some arrived for their parents in horse-drawn buggies. The original building was fairly primitive. There were no bathrooms. If you had a need, you used an outhouse behind the school, and there were no water fountains, Drinks of water came from a bucket and a ladle on the back porch. Parishioners instinctively knew the importance of supporting the school financially, and often conducted fundraisers, bazaars, dinners, dances, and some members also made more notable philanthropic donations. The financial success of the school was seen as a group effort. That said, it was quite challenging to support both the parish and the school, and at times it was touch and go for the school. Father Frederick was reaching 70 years old, and all the pressures were wearing on him. He was the caregiver to his frail sister and disabled nephew. It was time to retire. He arranged with church leadership to turn over the house and land he purchased to the parish. This was a very generous action, as he could have kept or been paid back for the land and the buildings as he had bought and paid for them. He moved to St. Charles Seminary near Catonsville with his remaining family and stayed there for the majority of his final years. He passed away at the age of 88 in 1936, the oldest priest in the archdiocese at the time. The 1920s, 30s, and 40s were years of consistent growth for Bel Air. In the spring of 1927, the young pastor, Father John Eckenrode, took on the task of constructing the first permanent building for the school. He bought an acre plus of land and a house next to the rectory for $6,625 on which to build the school. Construction was quick, and the new building was ready for the beginning of the new academic year that fall. When the building opened, it had 2 stories and was constructed of brick. The top floor contained 2 coatrooms, which are now offices, and 4 classrooms. On the lower level, there was a large hall, stage, bathrooms, and a kitchen. The construction cost was $42,500. When the school relocated, the school sisters also moved and found their new home in the house that was part of the recent land acquisition and located next to the school. The population of the school continued to grow over the years, and in 1930, just a few years after opening the new building with 93 students, enrollment had swelled to 215, and tuition was just $10 a year. The school needed to pay off expenses for the new building and other debt. Parishioners and school families held traditional bingo games, fruit stands, card parties, and even the fall festival that we still have today has its origins at this time. It was in the late 1930s to early 1940s that the red brick building got its current white stucco veneer. The pastor at the time, Father Walter Reed, made the decision to make this alteration, but it's really not known if this was done as a fashion choice or to cover a problem with the brick or for some other reason. After World War II and the baby boom, the number of students at the school ballooned, and the 4 original classrooms were simply too small to hold the student body. In 1955, Pastor Father Joseph McCourt began construction on the addition to the original building. Once again, the parish rallied behind the project and supported it financially. In a little over a year, the school addition went from concept to reality. 4 new classrooms were added at the bottom of 2 small staircases connecting the building to the original school. More bathrooms, office space, a water fountain, another stairwell to the lower level assembly hall were among some of the improvements. And now each class could have its own classroom. The new facility and changing times ushered in other changes, such as the addition of students wearing uniforms and hiring lay teachers. The School Sisters of Notre Dame were still the dominant force in the education of the students and would be for many years. One sister, Sister Mary Corinne Mcdevitt, or simply Sister Corinne, had a particularly long tenure at St. Margaret's. She taught from 1930 to 1977. She spent most of her years teaching 1st and 2nd grade, often at the same time. She was integral to planning and organizing First Communions, reconciliations, May processions for all of those years. But on top of it all, She loved being with and interacting with students. Through the years, it's likely she taught in every room of the school. But her main office, her home base, was in the White Building, in the office to the left, right before the stairs going outside. In the 1960s, Father Terence Evans came to St. Margaret's as pastor, and he took on some large projects, including building a new convent for the sisters, a new church building, and a new additional school building. The new school building would take shape just a few dozen yards from the original structure and would provide additional classrooms, offices, a gymnasium with a stage, locker room, and a kitchen. Students were welcomed into the new building in the fall of 1962, and even with this additional space, the enrollment continued to soar, reaching 632 students in 1968. The school transitioned to all lay teachers when the school sisters left in 1977. As the parish and school populations continued to grow through the years, it became clear that new and additional buildings were needed. In 1995, a new parish office and preschool building were built. Then, on land that is approximately 10 minutes from the original school and church facilities, a new mission center was built in 1997. And in 2001, a new middle school building was built to house the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, all on the same campus. This new middle school building included science laboratories, a gymnasium, and beautiful grounds surrounding the facility. As we reflect on St. Margaret's 110-year history, the school has grown and changed with the times. It is now a school of more than 500 students in pre-K through 8th grade on 2 campuses. Many of its teachers have been here for decades, and generations of families have been educated by St. Margaret's. The school's always striven to provide students with the very best education, providing the building blocks for lifelong learning and a strong connection to our Catholic faith. As the school looks forward to the next 110 years, there is much to accomplish, grow, and expand upon. St. Margaret's students' success is and will continue to be the #1 focus, and through the support and commitment of the St. Margaret community and parish, anything is possible.